The sound of applause warped into something hollow as my mother leaned in, her smile fixed for the wedding photographer. "We are passing the car his parents gave you over to your sister," she whispered, her perfume suffocating me as she squeezed my arm. My champagne glass froze halfway to my lips, the bubbles suddenly bitter on my tongue. The string quartet's melody distorted into white noise as blood rushed to my ears. My sister Lauren appeared beside us, sequins catching the light as she tossed her hair. "Relax," she said with practiced nonchalance. "It's just a car." Beneath my wedding gown, my knees locked to keep me standing. Across the room, Evan, my husband of exactly 6 hours, caught my eye. His expression shifted from celebration to alert concern in an instant. He knew. In that crystallized moment, I realized my wedding day wasn't a celebration of love, it was a test of how much I would still surrender. "My name is Rebecca, I'm 31 and an interior designer. This is the story of how I stopped being family property." The car wasn't just transportation. It was the first gift I'd ever received that came without invisible strings. 2 weeks before the wedding, Evan's parents had presented me with a small silver key in a cream envelope. "You built this together," his father had said, his voice steady with genuine pride. "Here's something to help you move forward." The vehicle wasn't new or flashy, just reliable, practical, and titled solely in my name. I should have recognized my mother's reaction that night as a warning. Her smile had tightened at the corners, eyes darting to Lauren with that familiar calculating look. I'd seen that expression my entire life, right before something of mine became shared. Growing up in the Harper household meant understanding the unwritten hierarchy. Lauren, 2 years younger, was the delicate flower requiring constant sunshine. I was the sturdy trellis, expected to support without complaint. When we were children, she received the larger bedroom because she needs more space to feel secure. In high school, I worked after-class shifts to save for a used sedan while Lauren crashed 2 cars in succession, each time met with, "These things happen, sweetie." By the time I met Evan, I'd constructed a life insulated from their expectations. My design business thrived on precision and boundaries, the very qualities my family had always labeled difficult. Evan came from people who respected limits, who believed gifts were complete transfers of ownership, not down payments on future obligations. The morning of my wedding, as my mother adjusted my veil, her voice had been honeyed. "You've always been so giving, Rebecca," she'd said, eyes sharp despite her soft tone. "Don't lose that." The weight of her perfume had made it hard to breathe, but I'd smiled anyway, pretending not to understand the transaction being negotiated. Now, as I stood frozen in the reception hall with her announcement hanging between us, the pattern crystallized with perfect clarity. This wasn't about transportation, it was about maintaining the established order. "You and Evan can manage with 1 car," my mother added, her fingers still digging into my arm as camera flashes popped around us. "You've always been so practical." Evan appeared at my side, his hand finding the small of my back. His thumb traced small circles against my spine, a silent question. "Are you okay?" The taste of metal filled my mouth as I swallowed words I'd been rehearsing for years without knowing it. I felt my shoulders square beneath the delicate lace of my gown. My father drifted toward us, drawn by the current of tension. "What's happening?" he asked, eyes flicking between our faces. "Nothing serious," my mother answered quickly. "Just helping Lauren out. She's had awful luck with cars lately." Lauren laughed, the sound practiced and light. "It's fine, Mom. She doesn't mind sharing." Sharing? The word landed like a slap. I thought of the nights I'd stayed up rewriting Lauren's college essays, the dresses borrowed and never returned, the endless apologies I'd made on her behalf. All those small surrenders packaged as love. I smiled then, small, calm, dangerous. "You're right," I said, my voice steadier than I'd expected. "I don't mind sharing." My mother's shoulders relaxed, mistaking surrender for acceptance. Evan didn't. His hand found mine, fingers interlacing with certainty. Across the ballroom, the fairy lights seemed to pulse with my heartbeat. A camera flashed, capturing smiles that didn't reach anyone's eyes. The air compressed like the moment before lightning strikes. I leaned closer to Evan and whispered, "It's starting again." He met my gaze, not surprised, just ready. And in that silent exchange, I recognized a truth that should have been obvious: they hadn't come to celebrate me. They'd come to verify that I was still accessible. The reception blurred after that, cutting cake that tasted like dust, accepting congratulations that felt hollow, watching the clock until I could finally breathe. When the last guest disappeared toward the parking lot, Evan and I slipped into a quiet hallway. He leaned against the wall, loosening his tie. "Do you want me to say something to them?" "No," I replied, my voice calm. "We already did." His confusion cleared as understanding dawned. We'd discussed this possibility months earlier, half joking over takeout containers. My mother's habit of redistributing my possessions wasn't new, it was inherited behavior. So I'd decided to stop being inheritable. 2 weeks before the wedding, my colleague, a paralegal with a talent for precise language, had helped me draft a notarized declaration. Every gift received in my name was legally protected, not to be transferred or sold without my written consent. Both Evan and I had signed it in blue ink. "You're not being paranoid," she'd said as she stamped the document. "You're being prepared." Evan reached for my hand in the hallway. "You knew this might happen." "I hoped it wouldn't," I admitted. But I refused to bleed again without a bandage. His phone buzzed with a text from a wedding guest. "Your sister's already posting about the car." He turned the screen toward me. There it was, a photo from our garage with Lauren posing beside the vehicle. The caption read, "Finally got a ride that fits me. #blessed #upgrades. A dry laugh escaped me. She couldn't even wait until morning. "So what now?" he asked, eyes steady on mine. I reached into my clutch, fingers brushing the thick envelope inside. "Now," I said, "we let them open their own trap." Pride flickered across his features. "Then let's finish the party." We returned to the ballroom as the band shifted into another safe melody. The room still glowed golden, but the air had changed, conversations thinned, eyes darted away and back. My mother stood near the cake table, laughing too loudly, a queen restored to her rightful stage. Lauren hovered beside her, phone still in hand, scrolling with practiced casualness. "There they are." My mother called when she spotted us, as if we'd been gone for days. "Everyone's wondering where the bride disappeared to." I smiled. "Just handling a few final details." She missed the weight in that sentence. Or maybe she thought she could still outmaneuver me. "Good," she nodded. "We are wrapping up soon. Lauren needs a ride home anyway." Evan stepped forward slightly. "She has one now, doesn't she?" His voice was light, polite, surgical. My mother blinked. "What?" "The car," he clarified. "You said she's taking it." Lauren tensed, eyes flicking between us. "Oh, come on, Rebecca," she started. "Don't make this weird. It's just a car." "I heard," I finished for her. My father moved closer, attempting peacekeeping. "Can we not do this here?" I turned to him, perfectly composed. "Here's the thing, Dad. This is where she chose to do it, publicly." The band faltered, then continued playing. Several guests turned their heads, the scent of champagne suddenly sharp in the air. My mother's smile stiffened. "Rebecca, sweetheart, you're overreacting. It was a misunderstanding. We meant." Evan held out an envelope. "You might want to read this before finishing that sentence." Her hand hesitated before taking it. She glanced at Lauren, then at me, before unfolding the paper. The rustle seemed louder than the music. Lauren leaned in to read over her shoulder. First confusion, then recognition, then the color drained from both their faces inch by inch. My mother attempted to laugh. "What is this?" "A notarized declaration. Executed 2 weeks ago," I explained calmly. "It states that all wedding gifts titled in my name cannot be sold, gifted, or transferred without my written consent. Any attempt triggers a legal review and forfeits future inheritance from Evan's family." The last words landed like stones dropped into still water. Conversation stopped entirely. Someone whispered, "Oh wow." Lauren let out a short, panicked laugh. "You can't be serious." I met her eyes without flinching. My father exhaled sharply. "This is petty, Rebecca." "No," I said softly. "Petty as pretending theft is family tradition." My mother's voice hardened. "We are family. You don't treat us like criminals." "You went into our garage last night," I replied evenly. "You took photos of the car and posted them online." Lauren's expression froze. "That was a joke." "Symbolic?" Evan asked quietly. "Symbolic of what exactly?" Her lips parted. No answer came. I turned to my mother. "This isn't about the car. It's about the pattern. You call it love when you take what's mine and tell me I'm good for giving it. You're being dramatic, she snapped. Maybe, I acknowledged, but this time the drama has witnesses. A ripple moved through the remaining guests. Phones half raised, half hidden. Someone's aunt-mouthed drama behind her champagne flute. Lauren's voice cracked. You'd really embarrass the family like this. I'm not embarrassing anyone, I corrected her. I'm just ending the script. Evan's hand found mine again, anchoring me. His tone remained measured. Mrs. Harper, you should keep that paper. It's legal documentation. My mother stared at him as if he'd personally betrayed her. You encouraged this. No, he replied simply. She didn't need encouragement, just respect. Lauren's face flushed. You married up, didn't you? Think you're better than us now. Evan didn't answer. I did. Better? No. Boundaried? Absolutely. The word hung in the air like an unfamiliar language in that house. Boundaried. My mother tried again, desperate. We raised you to be kind. You raised me to give, I corrected, and taught her to take. That was the fracture, the sentence that split the air in half. The band stopped playing altogether. Even the fairy lights seemed to flicker. Lauren stepped closer, trembling. You'll regret this. I smiled faintly. I already did for 31 years. For the first time in my memory, my mother's perfect composure cracked. Her voice wavered. Rebecca, please don't do this in front of everyone. Then you shouldn't have done it to me in front of everyone. She opened her mouth, but no words emerged. The silence expanded, thick enough to touch. Evan leaned toward the band. Play something, he requested quietly. The drummer lifted his sticks uncertainly. The singer looked to me for permission. I nodded. Music rose again, soft, defiant, a heartbeat. Evan led me back to the dance floor. The guests parted like we were royalty or a ticking bomb. As we moved, I caught our reflection in the mirrored walls, my mother's face pale and rigid, Lauren's mascara beginning to smudge, my father staring at the floor. The envelope sat on the table between empty glasses like a declaration of independence. Evan whispered, breathe. I am, I replied. And for once it was true. When the song ended, I turned to my parents, still frozen near the cake table. Help isn't theft, I said evenly. And love isn't access. I placed my empty champagne flute beside the envelope and walked away with Evan through a sea of quiet stares. Behind us, no applause followed, just whispers like wind through a cracked door. Outside, beneath the string lights, I exhaled everything I'd been holding for decades. Evan slipped his arm around me. You okay? I nodded. I think I just stopped apologizing. He smiled. About time. We stepped into the night, the music still humming behind closed doors. Somewhere inside, the smile my mother had worn all my life finally fell. The drive home was quiet, the earned kind of quiet. City lights blurred past, soft and distant. I rolled down the window, letting the wind pull at my veil until it came loose and disappeared into the darkness. Evan laughed under his breath. You just threw away your movie moment. Good, I replied. I don't want one. We drove in silence after that, hands linked, the same car they had tried to claim humming beneath us. Every mile felt like distance from an old wound. When we reached our house, Evan turned off the engine but didn't move. You did it, he said quietly. I did, I agreed. I broke the pattern. Inside, the kitchen still smelled like the morning coffee we'd never finished. I slipped out of my shoes, feeling the cool tile against my bare feet. On the counter sat my phone, buzzing with missed calls, Mom, Lauren, unknown numbers. I turned it face down. Outside, crickets filled the night air. The silence no longer ached. It settled. Evan wrapped his arms around me from behind. Still want that honeymoon drive? I smiled. Let's take the car. A week later, I stood in our kitchen with sunlight spilling across the floor. The same house, the same car in the driveway, but everything inside me felt rewired. On the refrigerator, one wedding photo remained, the moment when my mother's smile cracked and I held the envelope. I used to think it looked harsh. Now it looked honest. I realized freedom didn't roar. It whispered. It was the sound of a phone that didn't ring anymore, of doors I could lock without guilt. People say families fall apart because of pride or money. Maybe. But sometimes they fall apart because one person finally stops pretending. I looked at that photo and whispered, boundaries don't destroy families. They define them. If you've ever had to draw a line with someone who called it love, share your story below. You're not alone, and you don't owe anyone your peace.